Hello, misfit maniacs. Got a not a ment-worthy video, but some very valuable information to share for you young aspiring meatheads that are, into using gear and performance enhancement. Give you a little glimpse of what might be in store for you down the road. I had to be hospitalized this week. Had some stuff going on with my chest recently. Not necessarily pain, but sensations and tingling, bad anxiety. And I thought it was something I was taking. It happened with like CBD oil, the full spectrum, which contains THC, and then kratom, and then developed more sensitivities to caffeine, like pre-workouts. And then just when I work in retail, I was getting like anxiety attacks, weird, just the chest sensation. So it happened this past Monday, and I was like, I had to leave work because it was bad. I was getting palpitations, shortness of breath, hyperventilating. So knowing I have that high calcium score, which is a whole separate other topic, I figured, well, might as well get this checked out. So I was going to go to urgent care, but it just exacerbated, got worse on the way. So ended up going to Greer Memorial Hospital here. You know, they did the EKG. They take a blood test called troponin. Like they take an initial test, and then 4 hours later, it's enzyme, like a heart enzyme test to see if your heart's in distress, which everything was fine. But the doctor recommended I stay overnight and do a stress test the next morning, and I was like hemming and hawing about it. But she's like, if you were my family member, or if I was in your shoes and you keep having these things happen, and you know you have a high calcium score, you have high blood pressure, you're on cholesterol medicine, your father had a triple bypass at 72, she's like, I would get this done. So I did it. I relented and stood overnight, which sucks, being in a hospital. It's very uncomfortable. I can't sleep. There's noise. They're coming in, running blood work every couple hours. Did the stress test on Tuesday on a treadmill. They ramp it up. My heart rate had to get up to about 150 beats. Prior to that, they inject a dye into you, and then you do the test. And then while you get it up, you ramp your heart rate up that high. They inject you again. Then they take you off the treadmill. I was fine, no chest pain. I crushed the test. It was like incline of 15 and to where I was jogging. So, and no shortness of breath. Doesn't bother me when I train. I lift, do high intensity cardio. I'll never have any issues there. So the doctor that was there, and there was a couple nurses. The doctor's like, well, if you don't see me, then it's good. You're fine. You're good to go. So a couple hours later, she comes in the room, says, we saw something on the imaging on your heart, a certain spot that indicates there could be an issue. So then from there, they recommended I go get a cardiac catheterization, which hindsight being 2020, I should have done that last year when I found out I had the high calcium score, because it's the gold standard for like heart evaluation, supposedly like plaque buildup and things like that. I don't know so much for heart failure if it's the gold standard, but for poor blood flow and chest pain, angina, which I have, that's the gold standard. So they transferred me to Greenville Memorial, had that Wednesday morning, which was an interesting ordeal in itself. But what it revealed was I have two arteries, 60% clogged each. They have to be 70% or more to be stented or bypassed. So they did nothing with it. I had one at 80% clogged. Apparently they couldn't stent it, or they just left it alone. I was out of it from the medicine. I don't remember why they said that. And then a couple other 20, 40%. And one small artery on the base of my heart was 100% blocked, but miraculously our bodies are able to bypass it, so it almost like branched out another artery. So that one, I guess, is okay. But so I lucked out there. No stents, no open heart surgery, but more aggressive medicine. So I guess there goes my plan to do like a natural bench meet next year, because I'll be on Plavix, which is a blood thinner, double the dose of Lipitor, now 80 milligrams, another blood pressure medicine, So now 2 blood pressure medicines and the baby aspirin. Then they gave me a script for nitroglycerin if I feel chest pain. You put it under your tongue, and it really dilates your blood vessels. They gave me that during the catheterization, and I had like a headache afterwards, and I was like seeing things, and it was due to that, because it just kind of like Viagra basically is how it works. Really dilates things. So there's that. So the point is, for you young aspiring bodybuilders and powerlifters, that if you want to be, enhanced, I believe, according to Leo, there's genetic testing you could do, because apparently I'm genetically predisposed to have this atherosclerotic plaque buildup in my arteries due to cholesterol deposit. So if I would have known that back in the day, in my 20s, who knows, I probably wouldn't have listened. Like many younger guys ain't gonna listen to me now. But genetic testing, or just your family history if it runs in the family, because it's not worth it at the end of the day. Ask yourself, and I've been thinking about this, I was in the hospital bed, it's like, what is it all for? That I don't like the guy, but somebody sent me a video from him the other day, Cali Muscle. Even he said it. He was saying, professional bodybuilders, you're pros, yet you got to pay for your drugs, pay for your food, pay to go to the show, unless you have a great sponsor, which many of those lower tier bodybuilder professionals and powerlifters and strongmen, they don't have shit. So they're paying their way, yet they're pros. Compare that profession to LeBron James, who just signed a 2-year, $100 million contract, plus all his endorsements. Now that's what I think of being professional, but young, dumb, and full of cum in my 20s. I would look through the World Anabolic Review and the Anabolic Reference Guide, flip through, bypass all the side effects, high cholesterol, liver damage, baldness, prostate, etc., kidney damage, and just say, what is this going to benefit me? So that's what I caution you against, is listen to me. Could be a lot worse. My relationship with God has grown during this. That's a whole nother topic, how the warning signs he placed in my life each time, but I'm grateful to be here. I mean, I could get killed tomorrow, but, this could be a lot worse, because no doctor's ever heard of a score as high as mine. They're like 6359 calcium score. It must be a typo. It must have been 635. Sure enough. And I said I was asymptomatic for years, but this past couple months I started feeling stuff. Which, I know you guys, some of you guys are real tough guys out there. They'll tell me to man up, Andrew. What do you have anxiety and stress for? You're not married, you don't have any kids, you don't have a stressful job. Well, it was because I had physically something going on. That's what I was thinking. I know my body well. I was like, something is off here. It wasn't external circumstances. It was a physical issue manifesting in chest pain and anxiety. So that's another peril of Instagram. We follow these people. I'm not going to name names. They're tough guys, ex-military, special forces. Everybody looks up to them. But so you get that in your head. It's like, I got to push more. I got to be like this guy. Even without anybody there to push me, it's like in my head, like seeing somebody that's like the cream of the crop, and as far as toughness and leadership and alpha male. This guy is like, now listen to your body sometimes. Don't be a hypochondriac. Do your research. If you know your body like I do and something's off, get it checked out. That's why we have the finest medical technology, I believe, here in the United States, but worldwide. Western medicine is tremendous. So, but ask yourself, if you're getting into it just for vanity, like how it started for me, was vanity purposes, starting with steroids, etc. I didn't compete for the first 5 years or so, and then I got into competition, and I had elite level strength, and I had delusions I was going to be a pro bodybuilder, but I didn't think things through. So I would say, unless you think you're, I know guys are on here that compete in powerlifting. They're elite level. There's guys on Instagram that, some I follow. They follow the Misfits, elite level. So maybe it's worth it. But even when I message them, I'm telling them, you watch your health, because you never know. So you spend a lot of money, sacrifice a lot. And the root of it for me, why I got into it, and I'll tell you, and I bet a lot of guys are the same, is low self-esteem, introverted. So that's how I got into it. So even when I was fat, but I was benching 650, heads would turn in the gym. So a guy with low self-esteem, he's introverted. All of a sudden, he's getting all this attention. That's where the addictive part of steroids comes in, how strong you get. You do feel a sense of well-being with certain drugs, and the recovery, it's amazing how they work, but your body doesn't need it. I mean, it has a purpose for things like TRT. That's fine. If you want to do TRT, you're older, you legitimately test low, you need that, it's great. But a lot of that shit taken, and some guys luck out. Like Dave Palumbo's got 0 plaque in his heart. John Meadows, too, I believe. He said he had 0 plaque, yet he just had a blood clot. So if you follow him, he's now on a similar medicines as me, even though he has no plaque. Basically, he had a clot, a heart attack. You know, it was a heart attack, but he had a blood clot. He had to go to the hospital. So his days of heavy juicing are over. So many different things. You know, the calcium score is good to know, because thank God I got it, because I would have kept going. I would have been dead. But you could have 0 plaque and have a problem with your aorta, your valves, still have just soft plaque become a clot and kill you with a heart attack. So it's very dangerous. Is the juice worth the squeeze? Is the bottom line. You know, learn from my mistakes. If there's one thing, I'm going to shoot straight with you guys. Learn from the Meowman. Yeah, I had a lot of strength. It's ironic I'm ranting about these things, because if I wasn't known for the bench and the strength, and Lenny never mentioned me, I wouldn't be here talking to you. But, you know, I don't have any kids. Looks like no kids in the plans for me. I'm 42, so I look at a lot of you younger guys. And anybody will tell you that has private conversations with me, you know, I've always urged caution, health. One guy messaged me, he's got what it takes for special forces, but he wants to be a bodybuilder. I'm like, screw bodybuilding, go for the special forces. I would all day, every day. It's much more prestigious, and it's functional. You can carry that in life. You know, I have, you know, I'm thankful again I have a decent paying job, but I don't have a lot of skills. I neglected it. And not blaming anybody but myself. I was just predisposed mentally this way, wired this way, and unfortunately, genetically, had all the plaque build up, whereas other guys get off a little easier. But I think this will save a lot of guys' lives. Is pay the $100 for the calcium scan, get medical insurance. If you have to take statin, blood pressure medicines while you're juicing, if you don't want to give it up, you want to compete, you think you got what it takes, exercise caution. Try to be as healthy as possible about it. So that's that. And if you're all still with me, sorry I'm ranting, but you know, there's that acronym FOMO, fear of missing out with social media, etc. But there's another thing, I should coin a term for it, is especially guys, you look up to so many people on Instagram and whatever, YouTube, they've accomplished a lot more. And even to this day at 42, it kind of gets in my head, like I got to really push myself because I've underachieved, which there's good and bad. But I know we all want to be tough, strong men, leaders, which we need. There's a dearth in this country, in the world, there's a void of leadership amongst men. But don't push too far, listen to your body, you know, do research. Learn as much as you can about the human body. What's more important than that? You know, that you got a leg up if you understand the more, just a basic cursory understanding of your body, how it works. I was able to have conversations with these doctors and nurses because I know a little bit about medical terminology. I do a little bit of reading. I don't read research papers or anything like that, but so be careful. Ask yourself, is it worth it? If you can afford these things like genetic testing and looking in your family line as far as diseases, and if you think you're elite, you can make some money in bodybuilding or powerlifting or strongman, by all means. But, you know, again, not, you know, bitching and complaining. Thank God I'm here. I'm thankful for the great care I got. Thankful for God for putting things in my path to wake me up. But, yeah, it's no fun being in a hospital. It's uncomfortable. It's expensive. And the worst part is I always judge like fat, obese people, saying and a lot of people say that they, they're bogging the health system because of their poor lifestyle choices. Well, that's what I did by using the steroids and drugs. Genetics are a close second to the reason why, but the main thing was the drugs I used, and got nobody to blame but me. Nobody put a gun to my head. I knew from the time I was a little boy, you know, I was always obsessed with He-Man and wrestling and muscle and size, and then being a little bit introverted and, you know, not underachieving in certain areas. So I was like, this is something I excelled in, whether I took steroids or not. And I thought I could go far with it, but just life catches up with you. I had to leave it at this. When I went for blood work in my 20s, in the midst of a steroid cycle, the doctor, very nice man from Trinidad, said, with these numbers, he goes, you'll have a heart attack in your 40s. And he wasn't too far off now, was he? Take care, Misfits.